Call in by clicking the link in the stream's description. The professor wants to hear from you.
Beginnings on the cusp. Not too old to adjust. Old dog, new tricks. Remember, I was just a pup. Something dirty in my cup. Clean soul, good karma.
Yeah. Woo! Woke up with a vision, it's Professor Bear's day. Ruling the game, coming hard, paving his way. Thoughtful and smart, yeah, the wisdom of math. In a world full of shadows, he's breaking the cast.
Good afternoon, wrestling fans, and thank you for joining me. I am Professor Bear, and this is a Bear's Thought. And I have a very, very special guest with me. It is one of the great podcasts that have shown me love when I started out and was just trying to build WSN, and they gave me a shot to give information about myself, and I love returning the favor. So right here, this is Not Your Mark podcast, and my man Guapo. How are you doing today, sir?
I am doing wonderful. Thank you so much for having me on, man. That was an awesome intro. I'm gonna have to step my game up.
I appreciate it. In this wrestling biz, I think a lot of us have fun doing it and enjoying it. And like I said in the beginning, you were so kind to have me on, and I always credit yourself and all the podcasts that are friendly enough and love sport to have me on. And I just want to return that love and favor to you.
And I certainly appreciate it, man. It's the beauty thing about this industry. It's all love.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But for those who are not familiar with you, go ahead and tell them about your podcast.
Oh, my podcast is called the Not Your Average Mark Wrestling Podcast. It started off real simple. Myself and my sons getting together once a week to talk about wrestling. We started with, top 5 Raw moments, things like that, just to talk about wrestling. And we're in our 3rd year, and over the last 2 years, it's kind of evolved into a platform for Texas wrestling, platform for really all kinds of wrestling. We've recently had the opportunity to have Buff Bagwell on the show, so that was huge for us. It's given the opportunity to speak to a lot of people like yourself who just love this sport.
Yeah, I definitely, it is an amazing thing because this year I've actually been able to go out, because before I went out and everything, but now I'm actually going places and starting to get recognized, and that blows my mind. And people wanting to talk to me, and I think it was March, I gave my first autograph, which I think I was more excited than a fan. But that just speaks to how much the fans enjoy what we talk about, our sense of humor, and the depth we go into professional wrestling.
Well, and I've had that opportunity myself too, and it wasn't on any kind of grand stage or anything like that. It was actually at an independent wrestling show. in Levelland, Texas, that I had someone come up to me and say, "Hey, I watch your podcast. Would you sign my shirt?" And it was a very, very odd and humbling feeling.
Definitely. And it's funny enough, I was in Texas in March and was at an indie show and actually got to be a part of the show, which was mind blowing and awesome. And we had a little stand set up, and I was the first segment, got back to the booth, and they were like, "Hey, there's a fan that really, really wants to see you and wants an autograph from you." She said she almost started crying on us. And me, I was thinking, wow, if I have an effect on somebody like that, man, I can understand where the wrestlers come from and why they do it. And most of the wrestlers, I say about 90% of them are so nice and humble, and they just do so much to elevate the sport that we love. So I always love giving back and doing anything I can to help the wrestling community.
Absolutely. And the community side of it, I wasn't like, I grew up watching wrestling and I've always enjoyed what I see on TV, but it wasn't until I got involved with independent wrestling and going to shows that I really got to see that community between the fans and the wrestlers. And it's an awesome, awesome thing.
Yes, I agree with you 100%. And I had one of those moments. I was at an indie show, and I was just standing there, and I just watched. And I just, like you said, the community, the love, it was just so much. And I thought to myself, man, this is why I love the sport of wrestling, because of that. So, wanted to talk about the latest news. Have you seen the thing with Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff?
I have, and I dig the fact that they went with the old NWO, old school kind of thing. I'm interested to see where they're going, because I know they announced, I think today they announced their third person. And are we starting a new promotion, or what are we doing here?
So, yes, they announced they are starting a new promotion, but it's going to be amateur wrestling. And from the little bit I got from it, they're going to have 6 men weight class and 4 women's weight class.
Okay.
And I guess try to present it in amateur wrestling and mix it in with professional wrestling. I don't know. What is your thought about this from Bischoff and Hogan?
Bischoff is one of the best brains in the industry. There's no question about that. He completely changed the entire landscape of professional wrestling. If he can bring that same kind of attention and, just pizzazz, I guess, to amateur wrestling, and then incorporate that with professional wrestling, it's an entirely new niche that he can really, really work. And let's face it, we got Hulk Hogan standing beside you. That kind of adds to the credibility there.
Well, one thing, I tried and I tried. Most people know I cannot stand Hogan, but
I'm trying to be nice too. I understand.
I always will say that he's a big part of why wrestling is where it is today. I respect what he has done for the business to help get the name out and make it more mainstream. And that's about as nice as I can be. Everything else, I would say some not nice things. So I'm working hard not to be that.
I get you. I will say this about Hogan: we would not have the professional wrestling we have today without his contributions.
Correct.
And we'll just leave it at that.
Oh, okay. So another thing I wanted to ask you about, what is your feelings about the TNA WWE relationship?
I like it. I like the fact that, you know, you can take names like Joe Hendry. You can take this other group and put them with NXT and kind of meld the two together. And, you know, you can see, I'm trying to think of a good, you can see Ethan Page and Trick Williams go at each other 100 times, and that's great. But now you can bring in somebody else that, you know, adds to that. I think it's a really good setup for WWE and for TNA.
With that being said, what is your feelings about WWE purchasing AAA?
I'm excited about it, and of course, I've been watching wrestling my whole life, but one of the things I always really enjoyed was a cruiserweight division. And I know we don't do weight divisions, anything like that anymore on televised professional wrestling, but this gives that same feel, gives you the opportunity to get the high-flying cruiserweight style action. And like seeing Vikingo there, that was awesome.
Yeah, it definitely shocked me because I was watching it live, but I had my sound on mute. So I was doing something and looking at the TV. And as soon as I saw Vikingo, I thought to myself, I'm like, wait a minute. Did they switch? What's going on? And then I finally heard, and I'm like, wow. Because, of course, I thought it was a partnership right off the bat. And then I heard they bought it. I'm like, oh, wow. This is, and the first person that came to mind with was Triple H because of his vision of having wrestling schools all over the world. I was like, this is a good move towards that.
No, I agree with you. I think there's going to be a few opportunities there. You know, imagine, you know, of course, I love me some Akira Tozawa. He's funny, but he's also, you know, he has that Tajiri Japanese buzzsaw feel.
Right.
You know, take him away from Otis's side for just a second and put him in a AAA ring. And I mean, that's fireworks, man.
Yeah. And people get to actually see how talented he is besides his comedic thing. Because, I mean, I could just imagine if they send him down to Mexico to have a match, how great it's going to be.
Oh, it's going to be off the chain for sure. But there's opportunities like that for several of the wrestlers to get in the ring with some of the luchadors, to get some of the luchadors in the ring in WWE. And I think that's kind of the direction they're going to go with. At least I hope it is.
Yeah, and another thing that I thought would be great that since they own AAA and they're going to do the Worlds Collide, why not enhance that with TNA?
Yeah,
and have some kind of tournament or something.
No, see, I didn't even thought about that. But the Worlds, man, get some NXT, TNA, AAA, oh, man.
Yeah, that would be good. And again, it goes back to, you can see Triple H style has worked in his head because he's thinking more globally than internationally. And I know that kind of sounds silly, but when I mean globally, a global WWE where you can see any of their stars anywhere and help build up upcoming talent and get their eye on it. I think it's after a while now, when it first came out, I thought it might be a bad idea, but thinking about it, I think it's good and it gives competition, and wrestling thrives on competition.
Absolutely. Well, and it also allows for one other thing, because you take and I know this is going to sound silly, but you take El Grande Americano, because we all know it's Chad Gable. Come on now.
Yeah.
But you can not only have those interactions, but how well-rounded do you become if you get in and you know this style of wrestling. So now you start working with luchadors and learn this style. You start working with another group and learn this style. Like, it makes everybody better.
Definitely. And then you think about the markets that never got to see Lucha Libre. Now because WWE is going to have them on somewhere.
Oh yeah,
in the States. So it's helping everybody, I think. Even with the indies. Well, let me rephrase it. What is your thought about the ID that WWE is doing?
Having had the opportunity to work around independent promotions and seeing some of the just crazy talent that's out there, I think this is awesome. It gives everybody a chance. I've seen the guys that make the videos and send their videos in, highlight video after highlight video after highlight video. This is a different opportunity. If you can get to one of the schools that they're using this for, of course, I do everything in Texas. So you've got Booker's School, you've got the Rhodes Academy, you've got all these schools that they're working with, and it's a new path to get there. And I think it's awesome for the independent wrestling community.
Now, one of the things I was going to mention with the ID, I was excited at first, and I thought, well, it's a possibility that they will oversaturate the market and take the good wrestlers away and hurt the indie promotions, like what happened over in Europe. But then I thought, not everybody's going to want to do the ID, even if WWE has presented them a chance to do. And I thought to myself, it's good and bad and everything, but I think it's going to be good for those indie wrestlers who are been in the business 10, 15 years that are completely okay with doing indie. It's going to give them more of a fire to show WWE, hey, you could have had me. You waited too long. Yeah. And I'm here. And it gives chances to people who may not had a chance, at least in my professional opinion.
Well, and I think it puts people in front of a mirror, because what do most people get into independent wrestling for? I love this sport. I'm going to the big leagues. Same reason people play college football, because they're going to go to the NFL. Same thing with basketball. So it allows you to put a mirror in front of yourself and say, okay, I'm trying to get to the WWE. I went to the school. I got in front of them. They didn't like this, and this. So now these are the things that I need to fix. So it gives the opportunity, a real good learning opportunity.
Yeah. And one of the things, too, that I love about that, some of the girls and guys who are stuck in mid-card in WWE, maybe they can do like Drew McIntyre or Cody Rhodes, hit the independents, make a new name for themselves, and make WWE see why they made a mistake to letting them go.
Now I've heard a phrase ever since I've gotten into this is, it gives them the opportunity to go learn a new move. And that's exactly what Cody did. That's exactly what Drew did. I think Punk did it for a little while.
Yeah.
I mean, and it does give an opportunity there. And say you've got somebody like, I don't know, somebody like Randy Orton, who's coming to the end of their career. It gives them a chance to pass that information on to, he can get out there on Evolve and say, okay, look, that you've got this and you've got this, but let's take it to the next level. And here's how you do it.
Yeah. I think it's good. I just one of the worry points, and again, I always think about this, especially going through the WCW closure and ECW, is them. I don't want a monopoly,
Right.
because again, once you start monopolizing, you start getting lazy. You don't have competition to help drive you, and that's why a lot of people don't like AEW. Myself personally, I enjoy AEW. I understand why some people don't like it, but I do, and I think it helps. Again, anything can help you build yourself and be better. I think it's great for you, and not every wrestler takes the same path to get to their destination.
No, and I agree with that. And I have my thoughts on AEW. I think we've discussed those before.
Right.
Here, here's the deal with AEW. I want them to thrive. I want them to do well because this entire industry thrives on competition. But it's got to be done right. And there's a few issues I have, safety concerns, things like that with AEW that are all things that can be fixed.
Right. And again, that's one of the best things to me. Like, for growing up in the territorial days, I always liked that, because you could go somewhere, learn your craft, take it somewhere else, learn new and everything. And to me, it feels like we're in a renaissance of the territories, where actually territory people are working together, and it's making the craft better. You have a better understanding of wrestling. It is so it's so great. Plus, you have so many different opportunities to watch things that may not be in your area, but YouTube or app. There's other wrestling app that show different promotions, and I love that, because you can learn. Just like I know a lot of people may not understand the career Jerry Lawler had. That some people think of it as him just being a clown, and but not understanding Jerry was one of the best workers in the business, but they see him at that commentary and that's all they know about him.
Right. And that's one thing I like to do is, of course, I came up in the end of the tutorial, or the territorial area. I was watching, world class championship wrestling before it was WCW. Used to watch it with my grandfather every Saturday. But going back and looking at how the territories worked, and people like Jerry Lawler, and how that built what we have today. Like that, I think it's important that people know that.
Oh yeah, I love hearing about wrestling history and giving people knowledge. I think that's one of my favorite things, to like, oh, you didn't know this. Hey, just go, and it's readily right there for us to look at. Like I said, YouTube is amazing. Our app is amazing.
It is.
It's so many different things. But with that being said, what is your thoughts on let me rephrase it. I don't know if you heard about the possibility of Tony Khan buying another promotion.
I haven't.
This is something I just heard, and it may have been BS. I don't know, but I heard that he is looking into buying a promotion, and they didn't say what promotion, which I thought was suspect. But Tony buying a third company, and the way he's doing it too, is kind of yeah.
Here's the thing with Tony. He tries to do everything. He wants to be the producer, the booker, the promoter, like he wants to do it all. And he's got to push that out to other people. Like if he wants to buy promotions, cool. Sit back, buy the promotions and watch them make money. But put somebody doing your booking. Get a promoter. You don't have to be the promoter. You don't have to wear every hat. And I think that's where the problems with AEW come in is Tony tries to wear all the hats, and you just can't do it.
Yeah, definitely. And that's just talking about the wrestling side, not his other duties outside of wrestling. So
True.
that is so crazy.
But if he works it right and he's pulling in like, All Japan, New Japan, something like that, and I assume it's something like that just because I know he is a huge fan of Japanese wrestling.
Yes.
If he works it right and can get the right people running his different shows, it'll be great.
Yeah, it definitely would. So let me ask you, I'm gonna give you a what if scenario. What if, with everything going on currently today, the way WWE is working and AEW, what if they could work together to have a super show?
Kind of a forbidden door kind of thing.
Yes. What would be your main event if you could help book that show?
That's rough. Well, obviously, we have to get MJF and The Miz in a mic battle. That's got to happen. I don't know. I think main event wise, I'd like to see. Dang, that's rough, man. I'm trying to think of what would be the best matchup. I don't know. I think I wouldn't mind seeing no, because we've kind of already seen that because he was already there. I was going to say CM Punk and Jay White, but kind of already seen that. I'm going to need just a second on that. So
that's fine.
I'll turn that back to you. What would yours be?
Well, and this may sound like a big cop out, but I would do the 3-way with the Shield. I would have Roman and Roman, Moxley, and the Messiah, all three of them, and be the current versions of themselves.
Okay.
And the reason being because with Mox being so hardcore, I think that element would actually take that match to a whole different place.
Oh, absolutely it would. Yeah. The Shield against everybody man. I kind of want to see that now. I don't know. One of the matches I bring up Jay White. I'm a Jay White fan. I've always followed him. I like what he does. Him and Finn Balor would be good.
Oh yes. Oh yeah.
That'd be a good match.
Especially if they just cut the crap with Finn and let Finn be Finn.
Let him bring back the Demon King for that one.
Yes. Yeah.
You know how great God. That would be.
That would be amazing. So amazing. So, what would you want to see from the women? What would be your big match?
I think I need Charlotte Flair and Timeless Tony Storm.
Oh my God. I was just sitting there thinking the same thing. I was thinking to myself, people are going to hate me because I always complain about Charlotte in the main event, but you got to have Charlotte and Tony Storm.
Charlotte and Tony Storm would be crazy.
That would be so amazing.
I would pop hard for that one. I ain't gonna lie.
I would actually legitimately have to come out of my pocket to make sure I was there live to
Yep.
see that.
Because that would be that's the two biggest egos in any female division.
And just, oh my God. And I can just imagine Charlotte going off script, trying to mess Tony up, and Tony would just
Oh no.
come back with such a reply that would just pop everyone.
Oh yeah, you can't throw Tony off. She's got an answer for everything. And that's one of the things I like about Tony Storm.
If somebody would have told me over a year ago that I would be so head over heels with Tony now, I would tell them they were lying. I always liked Tony Storm, but her personality wasn't there to me. And ever since she's done this turnaround, it's been something amazing. I don't see anyone being able to say they saw this coming.
No. Tell you what, you talk about a triple threat. You got my mind going now. I got the pencil going. Can you imagine Trick, Javon, and Swerve Strickland in a triple threat?
Oh my God.
That's gonna be a fight.
Oh my God. I don't think the ebb and flow of matches. They up, down, up. Everybody would be so exhausted from that pay-per-view because of matches you could do.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Swerve and Trick. Oh my God. And Javon jumping over everywhere. Oh my God.
That would
Oh.
See, we're gonna have to put it out to the wrestling gods and make this happen.
Yes. And the funny thing is, a lot of people don't know that WWE, or at the time WWF, and the NWA had cards like that, and the AWA, which was the third leading brand in the US, they've had mixed cards like that where they put some of their best. Flair versus Bob Backlund or Dusty Rhodes. They've had their champions, of course, they end in a draw or disqualification, but they've had their best go at each other. And I think we're getting to a point that we could see that again and be accepting of it.
Oh yeah. And one of the things I used to love is, I thought it was good. Don't get me wrong. Roman's 4 or 5 year title reign was awesome, but Flair would lose the title, 7 times in a week. But when he got back to TV, he always had the title back. But and I think that's something we're kind of missing. Like the champs aren't bulletproof.
So, and that's a great point. So you prefer the spontaneous championship title turns versus the long drawn out runs?
Well, in some cases, I think if you take Dominic Mysterio, for instance, never thought I'd be talking about him, but take Dirty Dom. If he loses the belt at a house show and then turns around the next house show, wins it back, and then he's on Raw with it, I mean, how big a plug do you need to go to your house shows?
Very true. And that was one of WWE's big formulas in the 90s. I remember when Punk and Kofi Kingston won the tag titles at a house show. Of course, AJ Styles won in Madison Square Garden. It's been a few, and that was the driving force. It's like, hey, if you go to the house show, you never know if a title's going to change hands.
Yeah, absolutely. And I went to a couple of house shows in Dallas, and you've got who's billed to be there, and then of course Taker and The Rock both showed up, and they weren't billed to be there. They just showed up, and everybody like lost their minds. So
Yeah.
house shows are good.
So I'm put you on the spot again.
Bring it out.
What has been your favorite independent show that you've been to?
My personal favorite independent show?
Yes.
I'll go ahead and preface this with I haven't been too far out of the Lubbock area in the ones I've seen. But for me, it's a tie between unfortunately a promotion that's no longer around, but it was OSW Revival. That was a great show. Got to meet I forgot his name. Chavo Guerrero. I got to meet Chavo Guerrero there, and that was really, really cool. And then we've had kind of a back and forth show between Squared Circle Pro and BCW here in the Lubbock area. That just the talent to come through has been really, really cool.
Would you? So if say I'm just starting to be a fan, and I'm asking you, which one would you? In your opinion, what should I start with? Should I start with the big time wrestling, WWE, AEW, or should I start with independent promotions in my area? What would be your recommendation?
If you've never been a wrestling fan, get your feet wet with what's on TV. Get an idea of how it works on television. Characters, how the ring works, the dynamic of how the pin works, and then go to a independent show because they are completely different. And once you've been to an independent show, halfway through it, you're looking for your next independent show. Because with the glitz and glamour that comes with the television, you're up there in it with an independent show. The wrestlers are talking to you, and they work the crowd real well, and there's more of a community to it than there is watching the stars on television. So that's the way I would do it if I was talking to somebody that had never watched wrestling before.
That I find that a great advice because it's how I got my wife into it. When we met, started dating, she knew of wrestling, but wasn't a wrestling fan. Well, she knew how much I loved wrestling. And we would watch, and she's like, what's this? And why is this? And, so I had to explain it to her and stuff. Then she wanted to go to a WWE show, and we couldn't go. And I was like, well, I was like, hey, babe, let's go to this show. It's an indies show. And she was like, okay. And she was, hesitant because she wanted to see the big stars. When we came out of that promotion, the only thing my wife asked me when we were coming back, when are they doing another show? I loved it. It was such a big thing for her. Like you said, the upfront and personal interactions with the wrestler. One wrestler did a springboard off the railing, and he stepped on my ankle before he got up to do it. And he jumped off and everything. And I looked at my wife. I was like, he come back around here, I might hit him in the jaw. So after the match, they had an intermission. And he happened to walk by. I said, hey, you okay? I said, your ankle okay? He said, yeah, I'm fine. I said, I'm not. You damn near broke mine. And of course, he's like, oh my God. I'm like, I'm just joking. I'm not joking that you stepped on me, but you didn't do anything. And my wife loved it. And I think once the bug hits you at indies, everything else comes along.
Well, when you watch televised wrestling, you see what, millions of dollars of production value can do for a show.
Right.
When you go to an independent wrestling show, you get that same energy without all the production value and all the commercials and all the 72 trucks parked around the place to put everything together. You get that same energy from the talent that you would if they were on WWE. And I think that's what draws most people into independent shows is they're out there because they want to be. They're out there because they want to entertain the crowd, and they do a great job.
Yes, I think so. One of the another thing that comes up a lot that I personally really believe in is giving back to the wrestlers.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell any fan this: be mindful. I mean, if it's when they're wrestling, it's character work. It's character work. But be mindful of being disrespectful to these wrestlers because they are working their ass off to entertain us, and you don't know what they give up to entertain us. They're trying to feed their family. They're trying to get to the next level. A lot of them still work regular jobs.
Yep.
Have to drive 4 or 5 hours to get to the match. Hell, I've known some wrestlers got paid with hot dogs.
Yeah.
So they're doing it for the love, and I always try to get people to understand, as much as I may not care for a wrestler and stuff, I always give them respect because of what they're doing, what they're doing it for. And again, man, they're on the road, they're leaving their family to try to make sure that the 10 people in the crowd or 100 million people in the crowd, they still go out to give that same effort. So be thankful and be kind to them.
And just to kind of end, I couldn't agree with everything you said more. I know of one wrestler in particular that wrestles several different independents that has driven close to 800 miles to go to a show, pays for his own gas, pays for his own hotel, and the pay he got for going to the show doesn't cover either one. But it was an opportunity to get in front of another crowd. And a lot of people don't think of that side of it. And just to kind of add to that, if you see these guys out, and this absolutely applies to independent wrestlers, but more so televised wrestlers, if you see these guys out and about with their families, leave them alone. They get so little time with their families. My example of that is I was in the Austin airport and I saw Kofi Kingston. He was with his kids. So I just, kind of gave him the nod, and he walked off, did his thing. Well, he walked back by me, and I got, he shook my hand, and I got a little piece of paper in there that says, "Thanks for being cool, Kofi Kingston." So I got a cool deal out of that. But, don't go messing with them when they're with their families.
Yeah, definitely. Again, just have that respect. And I always tell people, put yourself in their shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know how you feel when you're with your family and people start to interrupt and take away from that. Then think about these guys who have less time than we do. Think about that. Again, I understand wanting to meet stars hey, it was a couple of times I got to see wrestlers and I wanted to really talk to him, but I'm like, no, I'm not going to disturb him. I bet he gets this all the time. I'm not going to be one of them.
No, absolutely.
So who is the king of your mountain in wrestling today? Who is the hottest thing that you follow religiously?
Currently rostered or all time?
We'll do both.
All time is going to be The Undertaker. Like that's my dude. I've followed him from Survivor Series 1990 to March of It was December of last year. I got to go to Dallas and see the One Dead Man show.
No, wow.
So it was awesome. If you get the opportunity, definitely go check it out. It was cool. But yeah, so all time, absolutely the Undertaker. If we're talking current rostered, I'm getting more and more on board with Braun Breaker.
Oh man, he is a perfect mix of his father and his uncle. It's like they had a kid together. He is.
It's watching Braun Breaker is like he's an anomaly because he does things that a person his size shouldn't be able to do. He runs the ropes at 23 miles an hour. He just the athleticism that he has it's something you don't see but maybe once a generation. And WWE has definitely found a diamond in the rough with him.
Just I will call him the modern day Randy Orton. Because,
absolutely. 100%.
I mean, I'm not the greatest Randy Orton fan, but I respect everything he does. And it looks so easy to him. It's like he puts no effort into it. And
I actually heard Triple H talk about that and say, you've got this guy that comes in here and it's just effortless. Like he's just everything he does. He looks like he's on a Sunday stroll doing it.
Yeah, it is amazing. So with that being said, what do you think about him, Paul Heyman, and Seth Rollins together?
I think they have to be careful with this. Like, they can't go too far this way or it's bloodline again. And they can't go too far this way or they're trying to do the dangerous alliance. So they have to keep it there in the middle, but I think it's great. I think we got to see a completely different Seth Rollins Monday night when it was throw away all the ha 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 stuff and he was serious and talking to Sammy. And when Braun and Sammy were having the match, Seth sold that so well.
And it's amazing to me on how well Seth can switch, because there was a time you would have never thought Seth would be just so ha ha he all the time. He was the thinker of the group. Then when he switched, when he turned his back on the Shield, and it's like, oh wow, okay. Then he revived himself as the when he had his group with I was about to call them all stirred, Buddy Matthews and AOP, the Messiah. It was a whole different. Seth has that ability where he can, and I hate to say this, but it's so similar to Triple H.
Very.
Whatever they want you to feel, you will feel.
Absolutely.
It just depends on what's going on in their mind and how they want stuff to run. And I love that about Seth. He can change on a drop of a hat.
Now, if we can just keep him out of Becky's closet, he's going to be doing all right.
Well, and I've said that. My wife said that. But this is the catch I always tell my wife. It saves them so much money on wardrobe when he can just go and repurpose her stuff. So I'm not too mad about it.
I haven't looked at it like I can't hate him for that.
Now I'm just waiting for them to bring out their daughter, and you start seeing her get the hand-me-downs.
So, a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Do you think we see Becky join that group?
Honestly, I think we do, because there's not been too many times that a main faction had the husband and wife together. And I think it will help twofold. It will help them boo Becky, because they always have a hard time booing Becky. I think that would help. and it will help build up that Intercontinental title for women.
Yes.
And that's one of the things one of the few things that I got right at WrestleMania. I called it bam, bam, bam. And I think it's a great thing because Becky doesn't need to be in the top and help build that mid-card title. And it's going to mean more for people to beat Becky, not just for the title, but beat Becky.
You just beat Becky Lynch.
Exactly.
No, I agree wholeheartedly. And I think, again, this is leaning over towards that Dangerous Alliance side, but I think if you bring in Becky and you've already got Seth and you've got Braun and you bring in a tag team like A-Town Down Under, you've got a solid group there.
Yeah, I think so too.
And then the Wise Man, I mean.
Oh, yeah. It will be something that I didn't know we needed, but I'm glad we get it.
Yep.
It is just amazing. Now, let's switch over to the SmackDown side of things.
Okay.
What was your impression with Chelsea Green losing the United States title to
Zelina Vega?
Yes, sir. Me and this blank mind of mine.
Oh man, believe me, I understand. I was happy. I was happy and sad at the same time because I wanted Zelina to get her flowers for a minute. So I was happy to see her get the belt, but I needed the meltdown. I needed the Chelsea Green meltdown, and I didn't get it.
Right. I thought that again, like you, I thought it was okay for her to lose it. Selena definitely needed something, and I think it's going to help the mid-card division again. I just didn't like the execution. I thought it was flat to me.
It was a little bit.
And I didn't realize Chelsea had the same phobia that Samoa Joe has with the roll-up package. Anytime they lose matches, it's the roll-up. I don't know why. But
well, my thing with Chelsea, though, is Chelsea's character is so good. Like, losing that title does not hurt her.
Oh, no.
Not in the least.
I actually think it's a great thing because now she can go back to chasing the world title. And I think that was good. Like I said, everything was okay. It's just the ending. But they executed it, so I can't be too upset about it.
Yeah, they did well. And I agree. There were times in there that it did seem a little flat. But to your point of she can chase the world title now, can you imagine just the mic work between Tiffany Stratton and Chelsea Green?
Oh,
you know how many managers would get called in that promo?
Oh, yeah. That would be awesome. And I can't talk about SmackDown without talking about the amazing TLC match.
Wow.
That should have been on WrestleMania. Another ball dropper, but I digress.
See, I don't see it as a ball dropper, though, and I'll tell you why. If you put everything into WrestleMania, what do you do next? Like, that lifted SmackDown. That triple threat TLC was huge.
Yes, it was. And it gives the tag team division so much love that they sorely need it. I don't even know why Raw has a tag team division, but SmackDown, Jesus, there you go.
The tag team division in SmackDown is crazy good. And that match, when was the last time you saw a TLC match and it wasn't on a PLE?
The last one that I can recall, it was actually on SmackDown too. And I could be wrong, but I was thinking it was the same three, Edge and Christian, the Dudleys, and Jeff and Matt, and Chris Benoit and Chris Jericho.
Yep. Like, it's been that long, and they tore the roof off the place.
Probably my favorite thing, and it's crazy. Out of all of that, the best thing to me was Montel grabbing that guy prosthetic leg.
That was awesome.
That was so. It was so awesome and so out the blue that you knew he just like, oh yeah, I'm using this.
Yeah, and I got to see some fan footage of it from the guy that was right beside him, and yeah, he's like, here, and just Tez looking at it going, yeah.
And the throw, and then he threw it back to him, and he caught it, was priceless.
That was next level good.
Oh my God!
But it's one of the things I love that WWE is doing right now is the crowd interaction. You know, you get CM Punk coming down, and you know he may bypass a few people, but if he sees a kid in the crowd, he's gonna move everybody and be like, "Hey, kid, what's up?" You know, same Randy Orton stopping to sign autographs. Like, just the crowd interaction is important, and I think they're really buying into that.
Yeah, it's almost like a house show, how everybody interacts with the crowd now. And I think that is one of the things that has helped WWE take back over as the number one wrestling organization. Triple H has brought back so many different elements that had been lost or stopped, that the fans, though, it reminds me of when the McMahon and Triple H came out and said, "We hear you, fans, and we're going to stop doing this, that," and then the next week they were back to it, doing the same crap. But you can really see and understand that they pay attention to the crowd, and they drive, and the crowd drives so much. Even if we were supposed to go A, B, C, the crowd, they yell, so we're gonna have to go to plan E now. And I really enjoy that. It keeps everybody on their toes.
One thing I love about Triple H is he has found a way to give WWE that little bit of edge, like that edginess that it was lacking, without making it Attitude Era 2.0.
I definitely agree with you. So I want to thank you for taking the time to join me on my show. I appreciate everything. Won't you go ahead and give the fans, shout out everything, give me your socials, do it all, please, sir.
Okay, well, first off, thank you for having me on. This has been awesome. I've enjoyed every minute of it. So thank you for showing me that love. I appreciate you. You can find our podcast on multiple platforms. We're on twitch.tv/NotYourAverageMark. We're on Facebook, Not Your Average Mark. We are on YouTube, and we're on all the socials. Not Your Average Mark. we do have a website, NotYourAverageMark.com, and we've just recently started a Discord where we do watch-alongs. We do Raw watch-alongs, SmackDown watch-alongs. We even did a Mania watch-along. So,
oh wow,
that's where you can find us. We're everywhere. Just search out Not Your Average Mark.
Man, again, I appreciate you, and we're going to be doing this again. Like I said, I just want to give back to the people who gave me a chance, and as I like to call it, looked out for me when I was trying. So I wanted to give that love and respect back to you. So
and I certainly appreciate it.
Anytime. Guys, this has been a very again, thank y'all for tuning in. You know, we love y'all. We love wrestling, so we're just one big family. So thank you, and check us out next week. I'm your host, Professor Bear, and this is it.
Much love, everybody.
Dreams, I don't need a genie. Pops did Madonna shows. Music in my blood, it was destined for me. Way before